And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the ONEwraps penultimate 125, presented by OneDesignsWraps.com here in the Windshield Deep Racing League. I'm Kevin McAdams. I have Sean Butler attempting to push the buttons tonight. He's having
Attempting.
more problems. Yeah, that's about the best word I can come up with. 125 laps tonight at Richmond International Raceway. I believe this is the third trip here in the Windshield Deep Racing League, but it's a much different track this time around, Sean. Much different in terms of grooves, and we're racing at night here for the first time.
We are. So it's going to be quite an event, I would say. So Richmond provides a lot of action no matter what you watch. So it's going to be very cool to see how these guys get around this place. It's going to be another one of those gutty races, I think. It's going to be fun to watch. We're going to be going green here shortly, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be a heck of a show.
Heck of a show indeed. Looking at the starting lineup, Grayson Ward took a little bit of a hiatus here in the Windshield Deep Racing League. Didn't show up for New Smyrna. Back here again in the number 9 machine. He'll be your pole sitter. Dylan Wilson, another great showing for qualifying. We'll be rolling off on the outside of row 1. Landon Huffman in P3. Eric Wilson, what a great start for him in 4th place in that number 4 machine. Top 5 rounds out with Jacob Hayes in the number 1. Brett Pancari in the 35 machine will roll off 6. Josh Cottle in 7th. Mason Maggio in 8th. Drew Cox in 9th. And rounding out our top 10, Sean, Ricky Harden in the 15 machine.
Well, not much left after this. You see Brian Smith in the 68 will roll off 11th. Jack Bailey will roll off 12th. Max Price 13th. Chris Davis and Davey Davis rolling off 14th and 15th. Spencer Dickinson in 16th. And 17th will belong to Andy Trupiano. Seth Harrelson will roll off in last. Race control is not officially part of the grid here. But as they work their way down the backstretch, Kevin, it's going to be one of those interesting Richmond races. This track does not cease to provide anything less than extreme excitement. And I guess the Pontiac Excitement 400 back in the day had a fitting name to it. So if you're new to Windshield Deep and you aren't familiar with this league, get ready to see some interesting stuff happen throughout the race as we continue on.
Yeah, Sean, big things that have changed as we see Steve Park on the screen. Nighttime racing here for the first time, and they did update the surface parameters here at Richmond. Allows for that second and even the third groove here at Richmond to work. So before, these guys were fighting for the bottom, even in these 87 cars where the groove kind of opens up more than any other vehicle. They still had to fight for the bottom here. Not so much this time around. I'm really intrigued to see if that second lane can maintain the momentum off the corner. And we'll see how that affects tire wear. Only one set in the pits tonight, and there's a 125 lap event, so strategy will once again be a factor as always. Pace truck is off. Grayson Ward slowly brings it down the front stretch. Green flag is out, and he already gets a great start. About 3 car length lead over the first row behind him. Dylan Wilson. Jacob Hayes starts in 3rd because of the 3 to the back, so he's going to be in 2nd after starting 5th. And they're already starting to single file out behind them. Dylan Wilson trying to battle on that outside line. He gets a little bit loose in front of that 7-7 machine, does Jacob Hayes, and now Dylan has the advantage on top.
Josh Cottle goes to the top lane, and there is the 63 of Drew Cox off the corner. And Eric Wilson gets a little loose. Look like off of turn number 4 as we ride on board right now with the 4 of Eric Wilson right here. Looking just ahead to Josh Cottle in that 13 machine. So as you mentioned, Kevin, there's multiple grooves here now at Richmond, so these guys may be fighting for some territory as we see Jacob Hayes get very loose through turns 3 and 4. That's going to open the door for here comes Drew Cox in the 63 looking underneath.
Yeah, you can already see 2 totally different philosophies for those who are on the top versus the bottom. You get a really good run exiting if you're on that second lane, but if you're on that bottom, and Eric Wilson sideways, looks like he might have had a mechanical failure in that number 4 machine, just veered to the left and hit that inside gap there, right on the inside wall. Trouble early for that Eric Wilson machine. Engine is blown, and his night is over. 3 laps into this event. Tough break for Eric Wilson. Started 4th tonight, and he will unfortunately finish P last in that number 4 Blondie's ONEwraps machine here tonight.
So it looks like he just got a little loose off the corner there. We'll take another look as he just comes off the corner. It's weird off of turn 2 here at Richmond. It kind of just, there's a little bit of a hill there on exit, then it just flattens out, and I think the car just wasn't really all underneath Eric there, and he just If that's the one spot you don't want to hit on the inside wall down there, is that little opening. And that's looks like it's going to unfortunately end his night very early. So, but Grayson Ward is your leader right now as they work on lap number 5 now.
Yeah, it's a real tough break for Eric. His son Dylan relaying messages that to the rest of the drivers. That's a tough break. I was really looking forward to seeing Eric up front. He's someone that he's in the back half of the top 10, sometimes the back half of the field, but he's always very clean. And I was very excited to see him do very well tonight with that early starting spot up front. But tough break for the number 4.
I'm fixing
Tough
my
break for the number
cameras.
4 machine. You're fixing the cameras. All right.
I'm fixing my cameras.
While Sean does that, we'll go over the running order very briefly. Grayson Ward, still your leader as we pace for lap 6. Dylan Wilson second. Drew Cox will be in third. Started ninth in that number 63 machine, already up to P3. Great moves for him. Jacob Hayes in fourth. Josh Cottle will round out your top 5. Brian Smith started outside the top 10 in 11th. He is now up to 6th. Mason Maggio in 7th. Max Price in 8th. Ricky Harden in 9th. And Jack Bailey will round out your top 10. Moving on through the list, the Doobie brothers, Davis and Davis. Davey Davis in 11th. Chris Davis in 12th.
Davis and Davis.
Seth Harrelson 13th. Landon Huffman in 14th. Andy Trupiano started in the back in 15th. Spencer Dickinson 16th. Brett Pancari in 17th. And the aforementioned Eric Wilson will officially finish in the 18th position tonight.
iRacing.
iRacing. Once again, guys, it's just me and Sean tonight, so no producer. So we do apologize to all 22 of you if things are not as professional as it could be. He is not paid to do this. Well, he is getting paid, but he normally doesn't get paid to do this. Oh, maybe, I don't know.
We are? I don't know.
We'll see.
Well, eventually, I don't know. Maybe eventually. Who knows?
It's all right. We'll make sure.
I'm gonna get an IOU.
That's fine. I'm pretty sure the bank accepts thanks and very much appreciates it.
Sure. So we should be coming to the proverbial 1 to go signal here, I think.
We'll see. I'm trying to turn down my chat. These guys are very loud in my chat for some reason tonight. See if I can turn this down.
You want to turn it down?
Yeah, they're very loud. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure out why they're...
I have mine off, and you can still hear them.
Yeah,
so
it's bad.
I don't know if that's an iRacing thing or what, but... Let's get a Landon Huffman update. He's sitting back here. Now, if you're new to Windshield Deep, this league, if you finish in the top 3 in the previous race, you got to start in the back and work your way up. And Landon is mired back here, currently being shown in 14th, but good thing it's a very small field for tonight. So he doesn't have that long to go as we're going back green, Kevin.
Green flag already out. Going to be completing lap 8 here. Grayson Moore gets another fantastic restart. And the number 9 machine, first battle for position will be that Drew Cox, number 63, underneath Dylan Wilson. And it looks like Wilson's going to make that high line work. He's going to be able to keep that second spot. Going to single file out now all the way back to the top 5. First battle for position will be all the way back with Max Price and Davey Davis on that inside line.
Look at Davey.
That'll be your first battle. That's going to be going for the top 10.
Oh, Davey working the apron through 3 and 4 there. So that was something. Here, look at Seth Harrelson in that 07 machine. Look at to the inside of these guys as they head into turn number 1, trying to make it 3 wide. Love these static cams, by the way. Really enjoy that. Let's keep it going with them. There we go. So still, Seth Harrelson gets by Davey Davis. Max Price is still stuck on that high lane, and Brian Smith is there as well.
Oh, Jack Bailey. Jack Bailey into the wall hard. Not sure what happened there. We'll have to get a replay of that, I believe, Sean, if you can. He absolutely just veered it right. It's almost like a right front blue. He just overcorrected pretty badly there. Oh, man, that is a tough hit. No caution. We stay green. But that's unfortunate for that number 2 machine. He thankfully didn't take anybody else out there on that overcorrect. And things have started to settle down just a little bit because of that. Chris Davis trying to defend his position over Landon Huffman. Him, Andy Trupiano, and Spencer Dickinson are top 3 from last week at New Smyrna. So they have to start from the back And right now, these guys are navigating the back of the field.
Now we're seeing a couple of different lines come into play here. So we're seeing, you see Max Price right there kind of running the middle. Davies running a lane below him. So we're going to see these guys search for grip here. So let's ride on board with Max. Here, let's see what he does as he heads into one. He's kind of letting it drift up a little bit. You see everyone ahead of him just on the bottom lane there. So we're going to see. But, Kevin, one thing is for certain. If you run this high, you're going to overheat your tires and wear them out that much quicker. So you got to keep that in mind. The top lane might seem quicker, but in the long run, it might hurt you.
Yeah, we've already seen in this league, Max Price is definitely not someone who takes care of his tires. He's often one of the first to pit if we have a long green flag run, and right now he's probably punishing them being on that second and sometimes third lane as he goes way up. Both him and Davey go way up, and Davey tries to do a little bit of a diamond maneuver, tries to get that straight exit underneath that number 22 machine. But right now, that's their only battle for position at the moment. But like you said, Sean, the outside line definitely is viable, but there's definitely a price to pay. And with one set of tires in the pits tonight, you might want to run that bottom just to save your tires. And right now, it looks like that's exactly what the first half of the field are doing. Everyone ninth ahead are going to be using that bottom. Right now, still the first battle for position going to be between Davey and Max.
So looking on board with Andy Trupiano, our point leader. That's him and Landon Huffman. You think these guys are just going to sit by each other and do exactly as they did at New Smyrna, just try to drive up through the field together and get up to the front to chase down Grayson Ward. As we check back in on Grayson, he currently has about a 7/10 of a second lead over Dylan Wilson. So these guys very strung out now. So I dare to say, Kevin, I don't want to jinx anything, but I think we might see a long green flag run here at the start of this race.
Well, I mean, we saw it last week with the limited field, and I think you're right. I mean, anything's possible here in Windshield Deep. We've already seen two pretty vicious incidents, one-car incidents, but still pretty vicious nonetheless. But these guys are definitely being a little bit more patient this time around. Landon, Andy, and Spencer all within about a half second of each other. They're definitely pacing themselves back here, and I think they're doing it on purpose, knowing that this race will very much so has that green flag feel. Looking up front, everything's kind of spaced out. First three cars only about, I'd say about 2 seconds separating them, so it's starting to spread out pretty quickly here up front. First battle for position going to be right now that Max Price. Actions all the way around that Max Price machine. Here comes that trio of Huffman, Trupiano, and Spencer Dickinson. They're looking to continue their way to the front. Max all the way up against the wall near the marbles, and he is loose out of turn two.
As we said, Kevin, you know, the run on the top might seem quicker, but it destroys the tires twice as fast. And Max Price probably feeling the effects now as he has fallen all the way to the rear of the field. Well, him and Jack Bailey and Eric Wilson. There's Jack coming up at turn 4. Eric Wilson's still on the racetrack after being in the first caution. He's still out there. But here's your onboard from Grayson Ward, our leader. And the gap between he and Dylan Wilson is not getting closer. He is still stretching it. It's up to about, I believe, 1.2 seconds now as Grayson Ward brings that number 9 Ward Performance Thunderbird through 1 and 2.
Yeah, the number 9 machine right now, the only driver in the 24-0 bracket. Everyone else is either in the 24-1s or the 2s. And we might see, you know, this lead expand for now. We're only 20 laps into this first run, but as we've seen many times, we saw it with Spencer Dickinson last week at New Smyrna. You can really get a big lead, but it's just a matter of if you can save those tires. We saw Andy Trupiano save his tires very well last week and took advantage of that later in the race, ended up winning the race last week at New Smyrna. So it's really a tale of two races. Who has the raw speed is typically those who are up front, but there are certain guys who just are really good at saving the tires. Here in contact in the back, not surprising. But guys like Andy, he's very, very consistent in his lap times, and he can keep those tires underneath them. And the way these races go, especially if it has this green flag feel, he may be 7 seconds back now, back in 12th, but he could very easily slice his way through the field. As right now, the back of the field is 100% the action spot. These guys are all over each other from 12th on back.
Davey just got in the wall up at turn 4 a little bit, so that contributed to it. But here's Andy Trupiano again, all over the back of Landon Huffman. So everyone's pretty much single file now, so unless something crazy happens, I don't see a caution in the future of this race anytime soon, as a little bit of a battle may be starting to stir up here as we go to the front bumper camera for the upteenth time in this. So Josh Cottle all over the back of Jacob Hayes. So there they go into turn number 1. Jacob Hayes and Josh Cottle both have been running right by each other, it seems like since the drop of the green flag here. But Hayes got really loose at the start of the race, had to check up and save it. But Caudle's been kind of chasing him down a little bit, still running very consistent lap times. So 13 looking pretty strong at the start of this thing, but we'll see if he can get by that one of Jacob Hayes into turn 1.
Hayes was the beneficiary of the Landon Huffman machine going to the back, and right now he's sitting in 4th. And like you mentioned, Sean, Cottle's just consistently sitting in that 5th spot. Another guy who has a pretty quiet career here at Windshield Deep. He doesn't really ruffle any feathers, and right now he's solidly in the top 5. So good run for that number 13 machine. But right now, we're kind of, this is definitely the calm before the storm, I believe, because these guys up in the back are battling hard for position. Spencer Dickinson, something bad just happened. I think he just hit the wall. I think that was what you were referring to in that scream. And he is now falling way behind 2 cars in front of him. Trupion and Huffman now gone by about 1.5 seconds, so he's fallen back. Right now, the first battle for position will be behind the Davy Davis machine of Brett Pancari and Chris Davis. Get a replay here. That's a tough hit. That's unfortunate. That's like right off the corner. And I mean, we both have our experience here at Richmond. It's a very bizarre track. It's got very weird late, like almost narrowing apexes, and especially out of turn 4, it seems like you can never stop turning the car, and you never stop steering out of the corner. You can get loose at the start-finish line and wreck just like he did.
Let's get it on board here with Josh Cottle. I think Jacob Hayes is finally going to let him go. But, you know, in our broadcasts, we like to watch the hands of the drivers here to show just how difficult these things are. But look at that. He's straight, keeps the car straight going into the corner, lets it drift up, and tries to get that little diamond off for the straight exit. But these things are just so heavy and just hard to maneuver on short tracks like this that it makes it difficult to get to your spots at times. But only the best in these cars are able to do that consistently, and that's what makes these cars so unique. That's why Kevin and I are big fans of these cars, and I think a lot of the community is drifting over to these cars just at the sheer skill factor they require to operate consistently. And that's why you see guys like Landon Huffman, like Andy, Blake Reynolds, when he's in here, he's up there consistently. These guys have this car figured out, and when you figure it out, it's a heavy advantage over your competition more often than not.
Yeah, and these cars have been around for almost a year. I believe they were released, around May last year?
Around this time last year, yeah.
Around the peak of the pandemic, and, you know, they're definitely ringers in this car. I mean, if you go to like even the 87 series on the official side, there are always like 2 or 3 guys who are always solidly up front, and it's definitely a niche car, but it's a very fun one, as we've seen here in this Windshield Deep Racing League. Provides fantastic racing, and you can kind of beat it up, as we've seen with that 64 car many times this year. Sorry, I'm just saying. But Mason has been resilient in that car. Even now, he's still battling for position. Look at Seth Harrelson, by the way. I didn't want to say too loudly, but Seth Harrelson started in 19th tonight, started dead last. I guess he officially started 18th, but he is all the way up into the top 10, in the top dozen right now in that 6th spot in that 07 machine.
Let's see what Seth is doing in the car here. So we're on board with Mason Maggio. Let's see what Seth is doing. So we have another visor cam for Seth. Got a lot of those out here. But we're hitting the limiter in this, and Seth is driving it into the corner a little bit higher than everybody else, and he's getting that cut down, a little diamond right there to get the straight exit. A little bit of right front damage isn't really helping Seth, but he's doing a good job of managing it as this battle for second is heating up. Here comes Drew Cox underneath Dylan Wilson.
Drew Cox continuing that charge all the way back from 9th, now into the top 2. And that 63, he got really loose entering turn 1. A really shallow entry, that number 63 machine, and that allows Josh Cottle to get into the mix as well. Dylan Wilson trying to defend heavy on that outside line. They're going to be dead even drawing into turn 3. And right now, Dylan does have that advantage, but Drew Cox, I believe, has the preferred groove at this point. Going to edge out just a little bit in front of that 77 car, and that's going to put Drew Cox all the way up to second. But right now, Sean, no number 9 in sight. Grayson Ward is now 4.1 seconds ahead of this battle for second. So these guys are pretty much battling for the bridesmaid spot at the moment because Grayson is gone.
Well, it's a long race right now, but Grayson Ward is currently up to a 4.1 second advantage over these guys on your screen right here. And this is the battle for third now. Dylan Wilson, we saw it at the last race in New Smyrna. He was pretty strong at the early part of the run, but just really couldn't keep the tires underneath that car for him to stay up with these guys in the longer run. It looks like it's happening again as Caudle is able to get by. So move Drew Cox to second, Caudle to third, and Wilson slides back to fourth. And he might have Jacob Hayes coming up his rear bumper anytime soon.
Yeah, things starting to close up a little bit here from second on back. You got now Hayes in the mix here, trying to catch that Dylan Wilson machine. Seth Harrelson is also closing in. Behind them, you got Mason Maggio and Landon Huffman and Andy Trupiano. Those guys, some of the fastest times right now on the track right now, running fives in that number 75 machine is Huffman. Right now, that is currently on pace with the leader of Grayson Ward. So right now, cream rising to the top between those two of Huffman and Trupiano. They're going to look low underneath Mason. Not a surprising thing. We saw this last week. We've seen pretty much all year these two, more than anybody, have had to start in the back of these races, and it's been exciting to watch these first few laps just because these guys are going to try to navigate their way to the front safely but as quickly as possible.
And look at Mason Maggio providing a little bit of resistance for Landon right there as there's near contact off of turn 4. And this is fun to watch right now if our cameras would participate. There we go. As they head into turn number 1, Mason is making this middle lane work. And as we saw, especially if you were participating in the Road to Pro series or watched it in any form, it's tough to pass on the bottom when the run goes on. And this is a case in point right here is Maggio's making Huffman work as they make contact off of turn 4. And that's going to be the difference in getting by Mason Maggio. But here comes Andy Trupiano, ever the opportunist, to try to get by Huffman. And Huffman slides through 1 and 2.
Huffman not happy about that one. He pretty much gained nothing because here comes Trupiano underneath him. Lost a ton of time battling the number 64 car and got maybe a little bit of right front damage. Tough scene right now out of turn 4 last lap. Right now the focus is going to be between these two of Andy Trupiano and Landon Huffman. This could potentially be the battle for the lead later on if we can get a caution. But right now this will be a current battle for 7th position between these two. And I don't think it seems like Landon has definitely a switch. He runs very patient. All it takes is a little push, and he starts to get a little upset. And you can definitely see, especially entering the corner, he gets a lot more aggressive. Really sails that rear end and gets really loose as he did last time. But right now he's going to maintain that spot in front of Andy.
So drifting a little further back, we got another battle here. That's Brian Smith in the 68, Ricky Harden in the 15. Brett Pancari in the 35. This is the battle for 11th. And we see they're going 3 wide for this battle. Here comes Pancari to the inside. But lots of racing happening all over this racetrack here. As Ricky Harden, not a stranger to finding himself in precarious positions in this league. As he's putting himself right into another one. But it looks like, Kevin, that high lane is looking to kind of be the dominant lane right now. As look at the run Brian Smith gets off of turn 2 as Harden slides it into the corners. 3 different lanes being used here in front of your very eyes at Richmond. We didn't see that the last time we were here.
Definitely not. And something I've noticed, at least, back in the NR03 days, and it's very similar when you have like these quote-unquote grip lanes. The more the tires wear out and the less overall grip you have, it seems like the higher line, if there is more grip up there, does start to improve. And I think that's something that they knew going into this. Brian Smith is in the wall.
Ricky!
That causes an accident. Ricky Harden is around. Chris Davis also involved, and I believe Ricky Harden is going to be able to keep going. I thought he had engine damage, but tough break in the back. No caution. There is no caution for that, by the way. They're going to keep on going green. Not something these guys wanted to see in the back. We had a great battle for position back there, but a tough break for these guys. About 10 to 12 seconds back. In the back half of the field, as right now the worst of it going to be between Ricky Harden and Brian Smith. They're going to fall back considerably on the leaderboard.
Tough break for Chris Davis there in the 12 car. You see, just gets a little bit of contact between he and Ricky Harden, and that's going to send him around. But as we look further back, there's Davey Davis just chilling back there. So the closest battle on the racetrack right now is going to be this one. It's going to be between Josh Caudle and Drew Cox. This is going to be the battle for second. Dylan Wilson kind of hanging in there. He's right there in that red and black car on the right side of your screen going into turn 3. But if one thing you notice, Kevin, again, as you mentioned earlier, Grayson Ward is not anywhere in sight. He's got a 4.7 second lead over these guys, and he has not looked back at all. So the question becomes, if I guess we're not going to have a caution unless there's a big wreck that happens. What do you do if you're talking strategy? If you're these guys, when do you pit? Because when you take your set of tires, because it doesn't happen often in this league, but when it does, it usually is the turning point of the race. It could spell triumph or disaster for your race if you don't get the strategy right.
Well, I mean, you would think, the obvious strategy would just be splitting it down the middle, but we've seen countless times here, windshield deep. Once we get into that pit strategy, that pit window, you start to get, those untimely cautions as we've seen multiple times. So you might want to pretty much just run it out until you hit that proverbial clip that we've seen in these 87 cars. The fall off is pretty consistent in these cars. There's like a plateau where you're about 2 seconds off pace, and then you go from that to 2.5 to 3. So maybe when you hit that, that's when you start thinking about coming in. But as of right now, Grayson Ward not even close to thinking about coming in. He is 5 seconds ahead of our second place competitor in Drew Cox. So right now he has
this.
absolutely set sail. And I'm hearing screaming in the background. I'm not
Yes.
sure what that is. I think that's Grace, but we'll ignore that for the time being.
So Josh Caudle is able to make the move amongst the yelling in the background for Kevin. But it's interesting. I mean, we haven't seen Landon and Andy are just stuck in 7th and 8th right now. They're not really making too much headway on these guys. There's still a long way to go, and they could still get there. But I thought they'd be at least closer to the front than they are right now, but they have a lot of ground to make up if they want to catch Grayson Ward. Here's Grayson. We haven't seen him on screen much at all because he hasn't been around anybody. So we're going to zoom out on all of our cameras, and Grayson is by himself pretty much. He's got nobody within a country mile of him that's for position. That's Jack Bailey in the 2 just off the edge of your screen. And look at that. There's your leader going into 1, and the start-finish line was where Josh Caudle was, and just a huge gap right now. So it's going to take, it looks like a Herculean effort to take down Grayson Ward as he's got this thing figured out and figured out early.
53 laps complete here at the Richmond International Raceway. As you mentioned, Sean, Grayson Ward is our leader by a commanding 5 seconds. Looking a little bit further in the back, we got Brett Pancari, pretty consistent so far. He did start in 6th, fell back a little bit in that John Force Tribute Castro GTX machine, but right now he's settled in 11th, kind of calmed down a little bit throughout the rest of the field. But give a shout out to the guy in 2nd place. I know we were all over the place on cameras, and I'm trying to keep up, but Josh Caudle currently in 2nd position. He has made his way from 7th all the way to 2nd, and right now he is faster than our leader by about a couple hundredths. He was about 0.2 faster the last few laps, lost a little bit of time there. But it looks like Grayson Ward's starting to hit that potential cliff here as we go through this first long green flag run. And we're going to have to keep an eye on these lap times. Right now, 24.718 from Grayson Ward, going a little bit further back. Everyone else in the 7s and 8s at the moment. But he did concede a little bit of that gap. It was about 5.8 from him to 2nd. It is now closed down to 5.0 seconds at the moment.
So Josh has played the long strategy, but if it's me, I'm thinking these tires are just going to even out right now because Josh is slowly chipping away into the lead. As you mentioned, last time by, the lead was over 5 seconds. Now it's right at 4.9 seconds. So if Josh can maybe chip away at this lead and maybe get it to a respectable margin by the time pit stops come, that could be the difference between the gap that he has when they exit pit road. But right now, not very many battles as we have Ricky Harden is just not being registered and scoring every now and then. I'm not sure why. I keep looking over and Ricky just is not there. I guess the server doesn't like him very much. But lots of radio chatter going on right now, but it doesn't sound like anyone's going to be coming to pit road anytime soon. But like I said, it's probably going to spell the difference in this race when the pit stops do come around.
4 laps from halfway, and that might be when we start seeing these guys pit. If you want to split it in half, you can pit around lap 63, and that'll give you about 62 laps on the final run. So you split it to 63 and 62, do the quick math, that's 125. But like we've said, and like I mentioned, I just don't think these guys are going to come in until maybe around lap 75 to lap 80. I'm also pretty sure that these guys can go pretty long ways on fuel with these 22-gallon fuel cells. We'll have to keep an eye on when these guys pit. But at the moment, Grayson Ward has began to keep that lead consistent around 5.05 seconds, now up to 5.2 seconds. So he's starting to even out. But right now, Josh Cottle pulling away from the rest of this field. Dylan Wilson has now gone back into the third position, but he's about a second behind our second place runner. Jacob Hayes in fourth. Drew Cox has now fallen from second to fifth the last handful of laps, so he's used his stuff up. Seth Harrelson consistently in sixth, and then you got Landon Huffman and Andy Trupiano trying to rally from the back to the front.
There you see Landon and Andy. That was not their last lap, by the way. I think the time is broken. But there is the progress right now. He did not start third. They started tail end of the field. So, good run so far for Andy and Landon, as we expect. But 63 laps is not all that long of a time at Richmond. They may need to figure out what they got to do to get to the front here. But as we see, Josh Caudle still trying to chip into the lead on Grayson Ward, but the gap has not lessened any, really. I think it's gotten a little bit bigger since Grayson Ward saw he was chipping in initially. Grayson, last time by, runs a 24.560, and Davey Davis is in the wall right in front of our leader. Davey is having a rough go of it.
That'll put Davey Davis in 15th, one lap down. Second car, one lap down. The other car, Jack Bailey in that number 2 machine, had sustained quite a bit of damage earlier on in this run. Slapped that outside wall in turn 4. So right now we have 14 guys on the lead lap. Next potential victim will be Ricky Harden in that 15 machine. He's currently in 14th, about 2 seconds ahead of our leader. Like you mentioned, Sean, I think Grayson's trying to maybe pick up the pace a little bit, but the last lap had to navigate around Davey Davis, and he ran a 24.908. We'll get a quick lap time on him compared to our competitors in the back half of the field here. 6.88. We'll keep an eye on these guys in the back. Seth Harrelson currently on the outside line. He lost a handful of spots behind Andy Trupiano and Landon Huffman now. He fell back to 8th. These guys are running around 25-second laps because they're all battling. Drew Cox, the next potential. Oh, they're going to be nearly making contact out of turn 2. Cox with a big checkup out of turn 2 right in front of Landon.
Looks like Spencer Dickinson might be coming to pit road, so he is the first of the lead lap cars to make a green flag pit stop. So we're going to see if this might have a chain reaction. This might be too soon, but it looks like he's gone about 66 laps, 67 laps on his tires. So he is the first one to come in to try to get those 4 fresh tires. We'll see where he shakes out in all this. But there's our leader. Grayson Ward puts Seth Harrelson, or Spencer Dickinson, I should say, a lap down. But so far, nobody else besides Dickinson showing that they're coming into the pit. So they're going to probably, as we talked about before, it's better to drive these cars as long as you possibly can on the set of tires, because the tire freshness upgrade you'll have compared to everybody else that pits early may spell the difference between winning and second in these races.
And like you said, Sean, it's about a 2.5 second difference from old tires to new tires. So if you can get that newness out of it in those first 3 or 4 laps, you may benefit pretty greatly in terms of track position, but you definitely give it back eventually. And I think that's something we're going to see. Someone like Spencer, he's going to be pretty quick here for a handful of laps compared to the rest of the field. But something I did notice in the number 6 machine was he was in a different spot than I expected. He did go through the pits twice. For some reason, he did not take service the first time. Maybe he missed his stall. It looks like that's exactly what he did looking at it before. But he is now 2 laps down as we get a quick replay. It looks like Jacob Hayes got dead sideways in turns 1 and 2. He is actually now up to 3rd in front of Dylan Wilson. So he's actually passed that 77 machine during the run we were looking at earlier. And so put him in 3rd. But these guys are 7.5 seconds behind our leader, and 2 guys that are still making their way through the field, Landon Huffman and Andy Trupiano in tandem. They have now emerged into the top 5. At least that Landon Huffman machine has. He's looking underneath his teammate Dylan Wilson in turn 3.
So I'm keeping an eye on the scoring. Kevin, it looks like Josh Caudle has shaved almost a second off of the lead for Grayson Ward. So if Josh can keep putting down good lap times, he might shave the lead to a reasonable margin to where he'll have a big advantage off of pit lane when they do pit. It's down to 4.2 seconds. We saw it was like 5.1 the last time we checked in on it.
Yeah, and this might be something that Grayson's kind of minding. He also might have to start thinking about pitting, because right now, you're right, it's down to 4.28 seconds. But if he pits, And he can also have not only that gap, but he can have new tires. That would pretty much, if this goes green, that would pretty much spell the end for the rest of the field. He would have this in the bag. But right now, he's going to continue staying out as he completes lap 73. That gives us 52 laps to go. So maybe these guys are going to start pitting. Ricky Harden is so loose in front of Grayson Ward right now. But right now, current top five, Cottle, Hayes, Huffman, and Trupiana behind him. These guys are in a completely different zip code in a bad way. Third place right now, 7.6 seconds behind. As you mentioned before, Cottle has now brought that down to 4.2 seconds. But Grayson Ward has been in command of this race. And something we really don't mention too often with Grayson, he is by all means a short track ringer. He is a late model ace here on iRacing. So, and I believe he does some real life racing as well. So he is definitely showing his worth tonight by completely dominating this race so far.
Also, remember the TAM Academy that Landon runs specifically for the super late model on iRacing and specifically short tracks. And if you're watching this race, you know damn well that this league is all about short tracks and what they bring to the service. And one of the best on the short tracks, pretty much on the service, Landon Huffman now. Newly married Landon Huffman, by the way, so congratulations to Landon. Just got back from the honeymoon, I think, yesterday. So he's back in the saddle in the new sim rig in the old new, I guess old new, but new room that they got set up there. And he's looking to put it to good use. He finally moves into the podium position, passing Jacob Hayes. But Kevin, it's been the constant right now. It's either Landon's leading and he's got Andy Trupiana behind him or vice versa. And Andy is just a magnet to the back of Landon Huffman's car as we work under 50 laps to go now in this race.
And I think this is a good, appropriate use of the term co-opetition that Darrell Waltrip likes to coin during his broadcast days. These guys are definitely looking to get to the front, but they're not racing each other. And I think they know if they don't race each other, they're not going to use their stuff up as they navigate through the field. These guys are faster than the leader right now by about 0.3 of a second. A long ways to go here, about 45 to 48 laps to go. As we have Mason Maggio in the pits, going to be 4 tires and fuel in that number 64 machine. He'll go a lap down. But if these guys can keep chipping this lead away, it's going to be close. It's going to be tough. I think they're going to have to short pit a little bit ahead of Grayson. But these guys are definitely the class of the field at the moment in third and fourth. And at the moment right now, Josh Cottle has now put that gap now to 3.7 seconds to Grayson Ward. So he is definitely catching that number 9 machine. And like I mentioned earlier, it might be time for Grayson to pit and try to keep that advantage.
It's going to be interesting now because we're getting right down to it as the battles continue on throughout the field here. Looking back at Brian Smith and Ricky Harden, that is going to be the battle for 11th. Those guys are both 1 lap down, but this is interesting right here. If a caution comes out, Chris Davis is currently in 10th. He is the first car 1 lap down, and Ricky Harden might look to get by him in case they have a caution to get that lucky dog and get the free pass. So we're going to see how aggressive that race is. And here comes Harden. It looks like Chris Davis might be coming to pit road.
Yeah, that's going to give Ricky Harden the lucky dog spot for the moment. Chris Davis going to concede that and come to pit lane for his one and only set of tires. 35 grueling miles an hour, 40 grueling miles an hour down this very long pit road. He will definitely lose another lap in that number 12 machine. But this is around the time these guys are going to have to start thinking about pitting. I believe if you're 6th on back, it might be time to pit. And I believe Dylan Wilson is in. Dylan Wilson is in the number 77 machine, coming to his pit stall, lap 82. So 44 laps to go. Drew Cox following suit as well in that 63 machine. So these guys up front got to start looking at that and seeing if they're going to need to pit as well.
Good entry for both guys into the pit lane. So this should maybe open up the floodgates as far as pitting goes, as there's our leader, Grayson Ward. When will he think about making that turn into the pit lane? Not that time. He's still out there on the racetrack. Only a handful of guys have made their stop. Dylan Wilson should be down and away this time, getting the rest of the fuel into that car, maybe fixing some damage on that car. Still not going yet, so now he's down and away. So they've probably had to fill that car up full of fuel, and he's going to come out in the 12th position, 2 laps down, it shows. So Dylan and Drew Cox right behind him. They've got some work to do to try to get back up to the field here, but they might be in the catbird seat as Jake Hayes looks like he's coming to pit lane as well.
Jacob Hayes in that number 1 machine coming in. Very long pit road here, Richmond. You easily lose a lap just by navigating this long pit road. But one thing that we also have to consider in these 87 cars, about 20 to 23 seconds on the pit stop. So you combine that, you go down 2 laps very quickly here at Richmond. So caution comes out. You can't really benefit too much from getting the wave around. You just go back to 1 lap down, and then you got to battle for the lucky dog at that point. And obviously, unless we get a bunch of cautions, you're pretty much going to be battling for only one spot. So these guys who are pitting right now are banking on this going green. And I believe Grayson Ward has started to keep that gap around the same 3.56 seconds over Josh Cottle. Jacob Hayes down and away in that number 1 machine. He's going to be, like I mentioned, 2 laps down behind our leader. And right now, everything kind of starting to even out a little bit here. Landon Huffman is now 7.9 seconds behind our leader. Had to deal with some lap traffic a couple laps ago. They've fallen back a little bit. Behind them, they have a gaggle of lap traffic trying to get around them.
Here comes Dylan Wilson. That's going to be the battle for the 10th position with him and Spencer Dickinson in the 6th. And Wilson's going to make the pass. And Dylan now is the first car 2 laps down. Again, he's got the freshest tires out of all the guys ahead of him right now, as he's going to make quick work of Andy Trupiano. And Landon might not make it as easy as Dylan would expect him to on it, but he's going to give him the bottom lane. So still nobody really making that dive to pit road at the front of the field. So there's only 5 cars on the lead lap right now. It's Grayson Ward, Josh Cottle, Landon Huffman, Andy Trupiano, and Brett Pancari are your 5 cars on the lead lap. So how long is too long, though,
trouble!
Kevin?
Seth Harrelson just got turned by Drew Cox. He saved it. No caution out of turn 2. A little bit of trouble outside of turn 2. Drew Cox and Seth Harrelson get into it. No caution. That was I was expecting him to go around. He didn't really spin. We'll get a replay of that. Good slow-mo there, Sean. That's
Thank
really
you.
Cool. But that pretty much no harm, no foul for the most part. But before, I was rudely interrupted by the contact there. Looking at the lap times, it looks like Landon Huffman is starting to fall off.
Oh.
Grayson Ward is still running 24.6. Landon Huffman that last lap, because of dealing with the traffic, ran at 25.5. So we'll have to see where what he runs this time by. But it looks like these guys on newer tires are around 4 or 5 tenths faster at the moment. And these guys are still battling it.
Brian Smith just hit the pit cone.
Jeez.
So we're going to see what happens here. So pit lane is very tricky to get onto here at Richmond. Smith, barely gets in there and nicks the cone. That might be. We'll see. But nonetheless, he gets there. I don't want to say unscathed, but it's close enough. So back on the track, Andy Trupiano, Landon Huffman, still been the guys we have our eyes on. And Huffman's starting to drive away a little bit from Andy. So Huffman trying to become the first, I guess, different Windshield Deep Racing League Series champion. Andy Trupiano, 2-time series champion. Been dominant throughout his whole tenure here in WDRL, and Landon is one of the guys trying to dethrone him. So he needs to put together some good finishes. But I was about to say before the Seth Harrelson incident, how long is too long on these tires? Because we've still had the top 5, I think it's top 5 guys still now that have not made pit stops yet. We're coming to 30 to go. So when do you come in if you ever do?
Well, like I mentioned before, there is a plateau on these tires. It seems like, eventually everyone ends up running around the same times as Josh Cottle does make his way in. So that'll bring one of our top 5 recipients into the pits for his one and only pit stop. But I'd say once you stop running 24s, that's when you need to come in. And I believe some of these guys are going to start dealing with that. Grayson Ward ran a 24.7. Right sides are up on that number 13 machine. He will definitely get 4 tires. Ricky Harden behind him will follow suit. Most definitely in that 15 machine. He will take 4 tires. But the big thing right now is we're going to have to keep an eye on the gap between Grayson Ward and Josh Cottle. Cottle is in the pits, obviously. Grayson Ward is still not pitted. And I believe the difference will 100% be if Cottle can make up the difference in these couple laps. Because if he can, and then he can play defense a little bit on that number 9 machine, if he can get ahead of him, we might have a good race for the win here.
So it looks like he's going to get out ahead. So that's big for Josh Cottle. So Josh, I believe, is 1 lap down. So it might be very close before we see if Grayson Ward even makes a pit stop. I got to imagine he does. I mean, we're getting really close to the end of this race. Nobody's on pit road right now. There's Dylan Wilson gets one of his laps back in that 77. He's now 1 lap down, being shown in the 8th position. I like how this strategy plays out of these races. It makes it a lot more entertaining to watch. It really shows just the wherewithal of these guys and how they know how to navigate through the strategies here. But right now, Kevin, we got 4 cars on the lead lap, and still Landon Huffman is in second to Grayson Ward. It's almost at 10 seconds right now, as Landon is still getting held up a little bit by the 12. So unless something catastrophic happens, I don't think Grayson Ward's going to make a pit stop now, because he's going to see it through to the end. We're past the point of pitting, I think.
I'm not sure, but can these guys make it on fuel? Is that a possibility? I know one person did come in for fuel, and that was the number 35 machine of Brett Pincari. He was one of the few guys who decided to come in and get fuel on that one and only caution earlier for that incident on lap 3. So he has a little bit more in the tank than some of these guys up front, but something that we're not really too informed on at this point is, will 22 gallons in these cars last 125 laps? And I guess that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on, because right now it looks like Grayson is just out there logging laps at this point. He's not making any efforts to go to the bottom right now as Davey Davis gets around him in turn 4. And I think you might be right, Sean. I think Grayson's trying to make this on one run. And if that's the case, this race is all but over.
I don't think he has a choice now. I mean, if he was going to pit, he had to do it 10, maybe 15 laps ago to take advantage of those fresher tires. So if he pits now, I think he puts himself at a severe disadvantage with the amount of time he'll have to make up. So he, Landon, and Andy Trupiano right now are working their 102nd lap on these set of tires and this tank of fuel. So they must know that they can make it to the end. But the question is, will the field make it to the end? We've seen numerous times in these races where the field just wrecks with about 10 to go, and that sets up one of these fantastic green-white checkered finishes that Windshield Deep is pretty much known for. So if this falls into the lap of Grayson Ward, I'll be very surprised, because that is a big risk trying to make it that long on tires and fuel, especially at Richmond.
Yeah, and I mean, this might be the strategy to win, because looking at the lap times, he is definitely starting to fall off on times. He just ran a 25.2. That's about a second slower than our first driver on tires. That'll be Jacob Hayes. He actually just ran a 24.5, so he's starting to slow down. Josh Cottle coming to the line this time by, he just ran a 23.7. And it might be just too little too late to make up an entire lap plus the gap he has right now to Grayson. So at the moment, controlling the field is that number 9 machine. Second place solidly in that number 75 machine is Landon Huffman. And then behind him is Andy Trupiano. Looking at the points very briefly, talking about big picture racing at the moment, Landon Huffman is 3 points behind Andy Trupiano in the standings overall. So this will give him one more point in that battle compared to the number 7 machine. So we'll have one more race to go, I believe, going into next week. I'll have to look at the schedule to confirm that. But it is a very close race at the moment, as they had next week will be at North Wilkesboro. So
fitting.
Very fun track. And are we pitting?
I said fitting.
Oh, fitting. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, very fitting indeed. Going to a classic race, we'll have a classic battle for a championship instead of having to deal with any playoffs. But that's neither here or there.
What's happening with Dylan Wilson right now? He's slow going into turn 3. I guess just letting everybody go. That caught my eye for a second there.
He just pitted.
He did.
Not sure why. Oh, he wrecked. Oh, he did wreck. He definitely, something bad happened to him. I don't know why he would have pitted there. Interesting. Anyway.
Statute of limitations is not passed, unlike other places. So we'll see what happened to Dylan. Oh, he just like his dad just got loose off of turn 2 there, and just
like father, like son.
Knew that was coming. Just nosed it into the inside wall there. So tough break for both of the Wilsons off of turn 2 in this race, but doesn't bring out a caution the ladder. So we stay green here, coming to 17 laps to go now, and this might fall into the lap of Grayson Ward. So we saw here, I mean, this isn't Atlanta. I mean, the only time I remember a guy checking out in the field this much was that one race at Atlanta, I believe in season 2, where I forgot who it was.
Is it Jimmy Norman?
It might have been Jimmy Norman, where he just checked out on the field, and they started reeling him in, but eventually the tires just evened out, and he was able to run away with it. But again, 15 laps is an awful long time here in Windshield Deep. Anything can happen, especially in this. So the closest ordeal we have going on right now is this one. There's Chris Davis, Mason Maggio. This is the battle for 10th. Both these guys are 2 laps down, as Davis looks underneath Maggio, and he will get the pass done. But if something's got to happen, it's got to happen quick, or else Landon Huffman is set for a second-place finish.
15 laps to go next time by. 7.22 second gap now between Grayson Moore and Landon Huffman. He is definitely bringing that interval down, but as we mentioned, laps just running out for the moment for the number 75 machine. Solidly ahead against his championship competitor in Andy Trupiano, but both these guys, I'm sure, will not mind the caution, because even if these guys, that get their wave around, get back on the lead lap, these guys still have a tire set in the pits, so they will definitely have the advantage, and it'll be essentially a 4-car battle for the win if we get a caution. Not trying to jinx it or anything,
No.
but definitely something to consider late in these Windshield Deep races. We have seen long green flag runs like this in the past, and anything is possible here in the ONEwraps Cup Clash Season 3. So at the moment right now, Josh Cottle is still in 6th. Right behind Jacob Hayes. That'll be a battle for top 5. 1 lap down, but still a battle for 5th. Here comes Josh Cottle behind Jacob Hayes into turn 3. And right in front of them, there's a 2-lap cars in front of them. That's Chris Davis and Mason Maggio. They were actually just battling for position. That was for position 11. So very spread out field at the moment. But right now, Jacob Hayes is playing immense defense on that number 13 machine.
As he should. I mean, every position counts in this. A top 5 would be good for Jacob Hayes. So he falls right in front of Chris Davis. We'll see if Cottle throws it into 3. Both of them kind of do. So this right now is the closest battle on the track, as we are on board right now with Jacob Hayes, looking back to Josh Cottle and Chris Davis. So, but that lead shrinking ever so slightly a little bit further up the road for Landon Huffman right there, but it is just not, I just don't think he has enough time. As we have Dylan Wilson come to the booth. Dylan, what the hell happened?
Well, just unfortunate circumstances overall. Had about 300 degrees of rotation in the wheel tonight. Not sure.
Ooh.
Ugh.
I mean, I was wondering. It was cutting really good in practice and qualifying. I'm like, man, I got these guys dick tonight. And I figured out why it was turning so well. I looked about 20 laps into the, or 30, 40 laps into the first run. It took me that long to realize that I'd go in the corner and I was about full wheel locked on the screen. And then, I don't run the steering wheel, so I don't really look at the input thing very often. And sure enough, here we are.
That's why you gotta run the steering wheel, man. Everyone's like, I don't want to run the steering wheel. I got my own, but you gotta see what the in-game one is doing.
Yeah, you're right. So I think I've converted after tonight.
Yeah, that's why I do it.
Yeah. Caution is out. Oh man.
Spencer Dickinson is around. Oh, it's he and Ricky Harden. What happened here? Teammates. So let's see here. Does Ricky get into the back of him a little bit?
It just runs him over.
Yeah, it looks like it. Off the exit of the corner, right next to Landon. So,
this changes everything.
I was about to say that. As they say in the real life, this changes everything. Tough break for both of these guys. They were just sitting there 2 laps down, just fighting each other, and around they go. So, Dilla, were you aware that you and Pops wrecked at almost the exact same part of the track?
I wasn't made aware of that. I'm not really sure what happened. I'm not sure if maybe we got into the vodka a little early tonight, and he had an early exit. He's really good in qualifying. Hate to see him go so early, but yeah, I mean, runs in the family, I guess.
That's exactly what Kevin said too.
I said, like father, like son.
Like father, like son.
Yeah, just that part of the track, I couldn't. I tried to go in the pits and get it fixed, and I did the whole calibration thing, and I got nothing out of it. So I knew it was bound to happen eventually, but I didn't really. It looked like I tried to wreck, but actually you know, just not really giving it my full effort, I guess, with the 300 degrees of rotation. But I didn't fall off as fast as I thought I would. I'm not sure what the tire model's doing, but I mean, I was keeping pace with a couple guys there that usually run pretty good. So I'm not really sure. You know, maybe that's the new thing.
I mean, it looked like it kind of evened out. I mean, you like kind of cooled him down, and you're running him back down again.
Yeah, maybe, you know, I guess maybe it started getting on the right rear more because it had so much wheel in it, or I have no idea. Usually I'm pretty good here, so I don't know. I just didn't really look at anything. Just, you know, bad preparation by the Team ONEwraps team here tonight.
Well, you want to hang out here and call the end of the race with us?
I'll let you guys do your thing. I'll just scream in the background or something.
Nah, man, you can call the race. I'm still technically the producer, so Kevin has been doing
okay.
a whale
I'll
of a
help out a
job.
little bit.
But one thing has changed here, guys. We finally have a lead change. Jacob Hayes is our first different leader of this race. He stayed out under this last caution. So he's on 35 lap old tires, it looks like, and the next four guys behind, Huffman, Trupiano, Pancari, and Ward, are all on fresh tires. So a roll of the dice, I would say, for Jacob Hayes, Kevin.
Yeah, and you know, it pretty much had no choice. Had no extra tires, and it looks like I think he's the lucky dog, so he will concede that lead spot and fall back. So our running order will be Grayson Ward for the lead, current leader in the number 9 machine. Landon Huffman second, Andy Trupiano third, and Brett Pancari in fourth. Some of our notable waiver rounds here will be Josh Cottle, Seth Harrelson, and Drew Cox. These guys will be on the tail end of the lead lap, coming to 1 to green. So put Jacob Hayes as the lucky dog recipient. He will be in fifth, tail end of the longest line behind some of our lap traffic. So he will need a caution to even attempt to gain some spots. But as of right now, it's going to be a 4-car battle for the win. And I think this is the caution that Landon Huffman and Andy Trupiano were looking for. Definitely an opportunity to get a win here.
Yeah, I like the inside here. I did a couple, not many restarts there, but the one I did, it was very, or two I did, it was very tough to get anything rolling on the top. So
Yeah,
Landon's behind the 8 ball a little bit, so's Brett.
that's something I definitely would like to ask, just because you were out there. Is that second lane as viable as we thought it was? It seemed like, you know, you can kind of defend yourself on that second lane, but it definitely was not the preferred group in terms of speed.
Yeah, you definitely can play defense from there, that's for sure. Not sure if Landon,
What happened?
usually he's pretty tough on the top, so.
Grayson just disappeared.
Grayson is
Uh-oh.
not in the server.
Oh, this is huge.
Grayson Ward might be falling out of the server.
Oh.
His quality is dropping significantly. He is now at 42, 39. I believe our leader just fell out of the server.
That is
I
unfortunate.
believe he is out. That is
Oh man.
unbelievable. That is
Without a doubt.
absolutely.
Andy Trupiano just hacked the system.
So Andy's going to be your leader, I think.
Oh my God, that is huge. You gotta imagine.
That's
well, let's
tough.
ask him. Let's ask RJ real quick. RJ, who has control on this restart?
I can't hear you guys. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's,
I got you. I got you. What's up, fellas?
does Landon have the control here? It looks like he did. Never mind.
He's the control car.
All right. Well, thanks. What a horrible turn of events for that number 9 machine, but our recipient at the moment is Landon Huffman. He takes the lead into turn 2.
Down the back straightaway, Landon Huffman has the race fall into his lap, essentially, unless Andy Trupiano could do something with him. Brett Pancari making a... Oh, as Andy gets loose off of turn 4, he saves it, and that might be all the time Huffman needs as he heads into turn 1. White flag is out here at Richmond, 1 to go in the penultimate 125.
Oh, what heartbreak in the number 9 machine. Grayson Ward falls out of the server late after dominating tonight.
What does
but
Brett
the
have?
recipient of the bad luck from the number 9, Landon Huffman, going to come out of turn 4, and he is going to win the penultimate ONEwraps 125 here at Richmond. Brett Pancari, a valiant effort trying to get to Landon, will finish in second. Andy Trupiano slips out of turn 4
man.
with 2 to go to finish third. Josh Cottle fourth, and Seth Harrelson, all right, will finish in the top 5 and 5th. What we've seen every way to lose a race here at Windshield Deep. We've seen Cody Kelly do it in fashion, And what absolute heartbreak for Grayson Ward tonight.
You
That
gotta
was one of those
gotta
you
feel
hate to
for
see
him.
it situations for sure.
Really
That-
do. Gotta
hate it
feel
his
for him there.
guys.
You know,
Oh.
Grayson actually has probably the biggest shaft in windshield deep history. I mean, not only tonight, he got killed by Talon leading a few weeks ago. He also got destroyed in the Blue Emu race we had here at Richmond in the super late models
That's
for
right.
a transfer spot.
I remember
So
that.
I mean, just
Right.
just a crazy turn of events for Mr. Ward every time he races in the windshield deep league.
Well, if there was a hard luck award from Windshield Deep, he would definitely be the recipient of it tonight. But our winner in that number 75 machine, what a benefits from the caution and benefits from the time it takes to run under yellow for for Grayson Ward to fall out. Landon Huffman, you are the winner, I guess by default, after Grayson falls out, but obviously you had to run that last restart. Tell us what you were thinking as we saw that number 9 machine just disappear from the track.
My first thought was, am I going to be the control car or is Andy? But I was scored as the leader, so I guess that deemed me the control car. But that was a really fun race. I mean, I couldn't believe that we went the distance. I knew about if I could get to lap 40, I pretty much laid my bed. 40 laps to go, so around lap 85, I knew that was pretty much okay. If you're going to pit, you need to pit. If you're going to try and make it, you pretty much laid your bed. So, that was a lot of fun. You know, I got this new Thrustmaster wheel helping me save tires. You know, it's Thrustmaster TX wheelbase, but I call it the Tire Saver 3000. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I had to dust that baby off, and now we have a tied championship race going into Wilkesboro. So,
Wow.
Couple big questions for you here in the booth.
oh my God!
So one, how was your honeymoon? Was there any, any good times, if you know what I'm saying, or how'd it go? Oh, that answers that question.
Round of applause for Landon.
And everybody's clapping for me. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Landon Huffman Jr. is
Congrats
undoubtedly on the way.
fornication.
Honeymoon was great. You know, drank a lot of mojitos, about 10 in one day, one time.
This guy fornicates.
Wow.
A lot of mojitos. Did a tequila tasting. You know, sat by the pool.
How'd that go? Did you find any good tequilas, or are you just gonna stick with Jose Cuervo?
Nope, that is the worst. I do not drink that. That better than Lunazol. We found some stuff better than Lunazol. I brought some back, so I got some for you to try.
Oh, you are smuggling contraband.
I am. Don't tell anybody.
Oh no.
But yeah, all in all, it was a great time. Got 3rd-degree burns on my chest, arms, and shoulders. So,
3rd degree.
yeah, we're in good shape. No, that was I see Jack in the Twitch chat says congrats on the sex. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Oh, but huge victory for Team Total Advantage. You know, just massive, huge, elated.
Yeah, terrible night for ONEwraps.
Y'all jumped 2 race cars. I'm pretty sure Eric's still in the hospital. So
we might not make it to Wilkesboro.
we probably get Jack on Eric.
He alt F4. He don't even know how to alt F4.
I have officially deemed myself the Thrustmaster, by the way. So,
whoa,
yeah, new nickname. Sorry,
the Thrustmaster.
Yeah, the Thrustmaster.
Is that with 2 E's?
Yes, and a capital T.
They had to think of that when they named it.
Probably, it's pretty genius. I mean, I don't know.
A lot of
great
thrust.
wheel, a lot of thrust. Great wheel. Obviously helps me save tires. Other than that, shout out to ONEwraps for huge title sponsor we have here. And if you need any iRacing paints, make sure you go that way. If you're on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube, Windshield Deep will be returning shortly. Dylan is in the process of building a house, and I am officially done with all my duties. I got through the wedding, got through all of that. We're doing great, moved into the apartment. So Windshield Deep is officially coming soon.
We're literally building a studio as we speak. I'm moving
Building
houses.
a studio.
It's
old race shop that we used to be in is going to be our temporary setup, but we're about to have the real deal going.
Our new studio is going to be the Windshield Deep Silver Bullet. It's an old streamlined, like Winnebago looking piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
we're really gonna deck out the inside.
It's a house on wheels.
Yeah, occasional
House
party
on
or two. Trying to pitch Camping World on it,
Are you adding Marcus Lemonis every 5 minutes on Twitter now to
Well,
get
as soon as we get our single wide done,
It's gonna look great. Just a huge wrap right down the side of the streamline.
I'll paint it blue and yellow if I need to.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
If not, then we'll paint it something else.
Well, thank you very much for watching, everybody.
Congrats
We'll
on
let Sean and Kevin do their thing. We're just screwing them up now.
congrats on the sex
just
and the
listening,
win, Landon.
man.
We been a good week
Thanks.
for you. It seems like.
Very nice.
Very nice. Congrats, man. Go celebrate it. Brett's down there. Kevin, why don't you interview Brett? This is his first interview this season, so we'll bring Brett up here.
Something just happened. There you are, Brett. How you doing, man? Congrats on the second place finish tonight.
Brett was sitting in the interview room for a long time. His audio might have been compromised.
Let's try it again. Brett Pancari, you're in the Windshield Deep Racing League booth. You got a copy, bud.
Hang on. Yes, hang on.
There we
man.
go.
Take all the time you need, man. So let us know when you're here. Gotta love live TV.
Television.
There we go. I think I got you guys now.
Can you hear us, Brett?
Yeah, I got you guys.
All right. Well, congrats on the second place finish, man. You did a bang up job in keeping the tires on that car, that long green flag run. Tell us about basically making your way into the top 5 on that, and then tell us about that last restart. That was crazy.
Well, I gotta go back. Actually, like the very first caution we had, I pitted to top off on field because I didn't have a clue on fuel mileage at all, and I was also kind of gambling on guys not being able to save the tires. And when we did have that second caution for the tires, I checked my right front was at 12, but my right rear was at 50. So there was a chance I could have made it, but then that restart, I only just benefited from Trippiano catching the apron and losing it. I don't think I would have had a shot and landed, and I nearly wrecked the thing across the line, just trying to stay with him. But after all that, to get my best finish of the season by far, I'm pretty much ecstatic right now. That's to say the least.
Definitely, man. You had a hell of a race, and definitely the result of perseverance and sheer patience. I'm curious, just because we really can't see stats and calculations here. How close were you guys on fuel? At least how close were you on fuel? Were you guys solidly able to make it, or was it fairly close?
I had about 3 point some gallons, maybe 5 some gallons. I had roughly estimated I was maybe like 20 something. So I think I would have been 20 left to the good when I topped off. So, but like I said, I didn't have a clue on the fuel mileage, so I figured I'd just top it up anyway, just for safety's sake. It I would have think fuel would have been okay, but like I said, it was more on the tires.
I hear you, man. These cars kill right front tires for some reason, and we saw that Landon was also hurting on tires, so you were not alone in that. But congratulations, man. That's a fantastic effort there in that John Force tribute machine. Congratulations. Any final thoughts on the night?
Well, firstly, I just think just Landon Hoffman and everyone at Windshield Deep for allowing me into the league. And the reason I decided to come into this league is more because given another league with these 87 Cup cards. I know the later part of the season was really, really rough, to say the very least. And I kind of hate to admit this, but I didn't even run the second dual race in the year because I was just down and out, like, because of all the carnage and the wrecking and all the chaos. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me right now. So I had to take a reset on that. But the last few weeks, the racing has just been a lot better because of the smaller fields. I'm just saying this in general. I don't want to put any thoughts in anyone.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I mean, did you see FTF last night?
Yeah, we were there.
Yeah. I'll be seeing you guys on Saturdays anyway. But no, just thanks Landon and them for just allowing me into the league. Of course, thank Castle GTX, Jolly Rancher, Fran Bendix, Auto Light, J Pistons, Polaroid Cameras, Oldsmobile, JOB, and of course my crew chief, Austin Coyle. This thanks to him, but actually a special thanks to Patricio Esteban. He's made a lot of these paints. He's made for my Cup cars and Xfinity cars, which I think you may have seen, Sean, my Princess Daisy one.
Yep.
He's made some incredible paints. I mean, I can't thank him enough for his paints. I know my bump number is not in a weird spot, but I mean, what better chance to put any cherry scheme to have numbers in weird spots? But I gotta really thank him for these paints. He's been incredible.
You know, on your car, I don't mind the number where it is. I mean, it's
not bad.
It's not bad. The car we've been raving about the scheme all season. Like, you know, we're like this is one of the better paint schemes in the field. I'm
my top 5.
Yeah, I got a soft spot for the Castrol scheme. So you get a passing grade from us for sure.
Well, you should see my Cup cars. All my numbers are on the corner panels.
Okay, yeah, they're not going to let you in the league if they know that, so don't say that too loud.
Yeah, but no. In all honesty, just thanks everyone for letting me into the league, and of course, even talking to you, Sean and Kevin. You guys usually beat me up on racetracks anyway because you're so much faster than me. But
just
nice
whatever.
To talk to you guys anyway. It's true.
Oh man.
but thanks anyway, guys.
No problem, man. Congrats again on a great finish, man. Go get this win next week, man. You got to keep the momentum rolling.
I don't think I'll be able to win it, but thanks anyway, guys.
Well, no problem, man. Congrats again, man. Go enjoy the career best finish for you.
All right, thanks.
Well, Kevin, I think that might start to wrap our coverage up. What do you say we take a look at the old results here and skedaddle on out of here?
Yeah, one more week to go here in season 3. We'll be going to North Wilkesboro next week. Definitely want to tune in to that. If you've been tuning in every week, I think it'll be quite a banger at North Wilkesboro. It'll be a fun event. Looking at tonight's results, Landon Huffman, your beneficiary of Grayson Ward falling out, he will be your winner tonight. Prep Car, as we mentioned, career best finish here in the Windshield Deep Racing League. He finishes in second. Andy Chupiano will finish in third. Josh Cottle finishes in fourth. Seth Harrelson, great effort for him, finishes in the top 5. Drew Cox will finish in 6th. Jacob Hayes finishes in 7th. First car one lap down will be Mason Maggio in 8th. Jack Bailey recovers nicely and finishes 9th. And rounding out the top 10, Chris Davis and the number 12 machine.
And rounding out the field, Spencer Dickinson had that wreck late in the race. He'll finish 11th. Brian Smith will finish 12th. Davey Davis 13th. Ricky Harden will finish 15th, also involved in a later wreck in the race. He'll finish the first car 2 laps down. Grayson Ward, again, just one of the tougher fallouts we've seen on iRacing that we've done. Just dominates the whole race, then the last caution comes out, and iRacing rears its ugly head and snatches the win away from Grayson. Tough break. He'll come home 15th. Dylan Wilson, after a late crash, will finish 16th. Max Price, 85 laps down, finishes 17th. Eric Wilson will finish 18th, and I believe that will round out the field. Dexter Knipe Jr. was not in the race. I don't know why he's listed there. But I believe that'll about do it here for our coverage here tonight. So the ONEwraps penultimate 125 here. So join us same time, same place as next week for the final race of Season 3 of WDRL. It seems like yesterday we just started doing this, but
I know.
But yeah, Kevin, anything you want to add before we wrap up our coverage here tonight?
Looks like we got a points battle on our hands. I know Landon said it was a tie, so it's going to be very close. It's either a tie or a 1-point gap. So, and pretty much the way it's going to shake out, basically, whoever finishes ahead of the other wins the championship because of wins. So, tune in for that. That'll be an absolute barn burner. Those guys will most likely be battling for the win and the championship. So it'll be a fun week next time.
All right, folks. Well, as Landon said, thank you very much for watching both on the Twitch and the Facebook. Watch it on YouTube later when it goes up. But thanks for putting up with our shoddy producing here. We'll be better next week, hopefully. But y'all take it easy. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a great night.